this case in Spain is much more different than others. It looks like the attack in Barcelona might have been a plan B because police and security services were onto that large cell. And the explosion that you mentioned that happened the day before was probably looking at they found 10 canisters to possibly make a car bomb. And the fact that there were other people involved as well makes it much more closer to the attacks in Paris and Brussels, especially Brussels, when the terrorists were thinking that the police were closing on them and they had to change targets and go quickly to target the airport and the subway. So for me, it's totally different than Nice and Berlin because it's a much more sophisticated plot involving many more people, which is extremely serious and extremely concerning.
It is very, very concerning what you're detailing there. What do you think plan A would have been? Do you think the location would have been an airport? Do we have any more information about what the targeted location could have been?
Not really. We know that Islamic State has specifically called for car bombs with gas canisters, and that's one of the plots that we saw in France against the Notre Dame church that fortunately didn't go through. But most probably, what's interesting is that the driver of the van fled. He didn't want to become a martyr. So that's also significant, and that would fit into the suggestion that they were thinking about putting a car bomb and leaving rather than dying on the scene, possibly.
Well, how organized do you think the terrorists actually were, and how loosely connected do you think they were to ISIS? We know ISIS has claimed responsibility for this, but what do we know about the ties?
We haven't seen in Spain, compared to other countries, really operatives from Islamic State, coming back from Syria. It's mostly homegrown. It's usually Moroccans or Spanish citizens of Moroccan origin. The Spanish security services have been extremely efficient with the Moroccan services to foil attacks and dismantle terror cells. Looking at the numbers, even if Spain is not really in the news headline concerning counterterrorism, for some of us that follow exactly what's going on in Spain, it's been extremely active in terms of dismantling cell, and Spain is, I would say, number 2 in terms of arresting jihadists in Europe after France.
Though it's kind of counterintuitive because Spain is not really at the forefront of fighting ISIS in Syria and Iraq. Yes, it does have soldiers there, but they're really just training other people. They're not, combating ISIS fighters on the ground. Do you think that Spain was going to be a prime target for jihadists in the first place?
Yes, very much so. I mean, Spain has been, for instance, for Al-Qaeda, a tier 1 country. It's a top target for historical reason. Jihadists consider that, Spain is Andalusia. It's a Muslim land that needs to be retaken. So for me, it was no surprise. And Spain is at, if you will, at the top of the food chain. It has nothing to do with foreign policy, but for historical reasons, they have tried to target Spain.